secret of success is non-attachment to results, doing your best at the moment, and letting the results take care of themselves.
Good morning, great souls. How feels everybody? How is everybody? Let's start with a prayer together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, Guru Preceptors, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Layuri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswarji, beloved Master, Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. Help us to awaken our energy, to heal ourselves in body, mind, and soul. Help us to uplift ourselves into thy light, into thy joy. Be with us now and always. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Please stand and let's start by walking in place and affirming, I am awake and ready. 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 I am positive, energetic, enthusiastic. I'm positive, energetic, enthusiastic. I'm positive, energetic, enthusiastic. I'm positive, energetic, enthusiastic. Let's hear Swamiji now, then we'll come back for our class on Say Yes to Life, even in ill health.
What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? In my light, in my love, in my joy, I am one with the infinite one. In my light, in my love, in my joy, I am one with the infinite one. What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? In my light, in my love, in my joy, I am one with the infinite one. In my light, in my love, in my joy, I am one with the infinite one. What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? In my light, in my love, in my joy, I am one with the infinite one. In my light, in my love, in my joy, I am one with the infinite one. What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? In my light, in my love, in my joy, I am one with the infinite one. In my light, in my love, in my joy, I am one with the infinite one. What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? In my light, in my love, in my joy, I am one with the infinite one. In my light, in my love, in my joy, I am one with the infinite one. In my light, in my love, in my joy, I am one with the infinite one. In my light, in my love, in my joy, I am one with the infinite one. In my light, in my love, in my joy, I am one with the infinite one.
Years ago, I remember I was crossing San Francisco on my way to give a class, when all of a sudden, have you ever had a cold just seize you like that? All of a sudden, from one breath to the next, suddenly I felt I had a cold. And it was just starting to get a hold of me. And I thought, well, I just don't have time for a cold right now. I've got a class to give. So I said, get out, like that. And it said, yes, sir, yes, sir. I've often found, and I'm sure you've experienced it, that you don't get ill when you haven't time to. You get ill when you feel that it's a good excuse to be lazy and rest a while. Your mind has a great deal to do with these things. It's all energy. And the more you're conscious of that energy and direct that energy flow powerfully, the more you find that you can really change your destiny. What to speak of your health? You can change the whole course of your being, the whole course of everything that happens in your life. Some people say, well, I never had the breaks. You create whatever breaks come your way. You may not see how they happen. This is where I tend a little bit to differ with Catherine Ponder when she speaks about visualizing very strongly what it is you want. I've discovered in my brief and not always happy existence that it was not happy when I visualized too strongly what I wanted. It reminds me of a story that a friend of mine, Lionel Fifield, he's a well-known teacher in Australia, tells. A man died and went to heaven, and he was being shown around heaven by St. Peter, and St. Peter finally took him to the heavenly junkyard. And this man said, well, what are you doing with a junkyard in heaven? And St. Peter said, well, these are all the things that you people on earth rejected. And the man said, well, it's absurd to reject things like this. For instance, that Cadillac over there, who would reject a Cadillac? And St. Peter said, well, it's interesting you selected that out of all the things here, because the one who rejected that Cadillac was you. And he said, but no, that's absurd. How could I do that? St. Peter said, yes, every time you prayed for a car, you visualized a Ford. I have seen that that it's not so necessary to concentrate. This is my experience, and I may be wrong. I don't want to challenge the experts, but I have some expertise. At least I've been able to make things work in my life too. And this is how I've been able to make them work. That I don't visualize too strongly the thing or the circumstance or the way out of the predicament that I'm looking for. I send energy to it. The superconscious mind is solution-oriented. And when you're looking for an answer to your problems, don't think about the problem. Try to just put yourself in tune with the superconsciousness. Every one of you has a superconsciousness. You may not be that much in touch with it, but it's that level from which all genius flows. And if you find that in your effort to attune yourself to it, you're beginning to think of the problem again, put it aside, back off, get centered, and try again. And when you try in the right way, you'll suddenly come into a feeling of, I can. And there's a part of us that says, oh, let me rest. Don't let me fight this battle. Don't let me bother with all the responsibility for changing myself. There's a part of us that says no to life. There's a death wish in all of us. And it comes out in various forms. Laziness, a wish to avoid responsibility, a wish to avoid commitment, or, on the other hand, drugs, alcohol, excessive sleeping, all those things. We all have it to one extent or another because that's what being a human being is. That won't solve any problem. You won't ever get out of it if you try to sleep it off. The only solution is going to be if you reclaim your oneness with your own higher self, because that's what you've really come from, not from the animal state, but from the divine regions.
Good morning again, friends. I'd like to start with a story that Master told. I'll just read you this from his book, Karma and Reincarnation. Two students of mine, a brother and sister, had a singular experience. The sister lay dying in a room with her brother and doctors in attendance. When the brother left the room for a moment to get some water, the doctors exclaimed, "All is over. The pulse has failed." There was a spasm and she lay apparently dead. As soon as the brother came back, he ordered everyone out of the room. He then shook his sister vigorously, crying, "Sister, your teacher told you to make the effort and you will live." In a few moments, her pulse came back. She breathed, sat up, and told the following experience. My entire body was paralyzed, but I could hear the footsteps of my brother leaving the room. I was making an effort to stir the life force in my inert body by will. But as soon as I heard the doctors say, "All is over," I gave up the will to live, and I witnessed a complete inertia in my outer muscles and internal organs, and a blinding flash of light in my head came, followed by intense darkness. In this state, I heard my brother coming toward me as though from afar, and as soon as he urged me to use my will and wake up, I revived my will to live. And here I am. My consciousness was able to resuscitate itself into the inner organs, muscles, and the senses, which had become inert before. This is a fantastic story of how someone was leaving the body, but through the intercession, the prayers, the pleading of the brother and her getting her will started up again, that she was able to resuscitate herself. These are very important concepts for today and for our times of illness, because people buy in to what we think should happen, what could happen, what happened to my neighbor, what happened to a relative, what happened to me before. But Master's teachings are about say yes, no matter what is happening, and you can bring yourself to a state of healing and health. I've been here for 15 years in India now, and I can say I've not missed any time of service because of lying in bed ill. And I knock on wood because of that, because that's Guru's grace as well. But it is possible. So I want to go through 3 or 4 concepts with you today on how to be positive, to say yes to life, even in illness. So let's look at the first topic. Don't go into the consciousness of the disease. Right behind, beneath the flesh, is a tremendous current. I forgot it, but now by the pickaxe of self-realization, I have dug the life force up again. I and my Father are one. I'm not the flesh. I'm a bundle of electricity behind the body. You are the life force beneath the flesh. And this is so important for us to remember, to not go into the consciousness of the disease. This is why when we have someone who is ill, we know someone, we bring flowers, we might bring a gift, we put, if it's someone in our home, we might put around candles, we might burn some incense, purify the room. We don't go up to them and say, oh, you look terrible. We say kind things about them. Oh, you're getting better. Oh, you look better today, whatever, because we want to put the consciousness of upliftment of their soul. The soul is always well. The body may be having problems, but we're not the body. The soul is who and what we really are inside. And so to keep our consciousness uplifted up to the spiritual eye, no matter how you're feeling, try to keep uplifted. I told many stories about this before, but I knew of one woman. I don't have time to go into the stories in detail today, but she had a terminal illness. Swamiji told her, don't go into the consciousness of the disease. She was supposed to live for 1 year. She lived 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 more years because she energized more, she did Kriya more, she served more, and she didn't let her energy drop. There were people at Ananda village who had various accidents. One man fell out of a tree and injured his ankle. He was fine in just a couple of weeks, walking just like nothing happened. There was a woman who her face burned. It's a long story, I can't go into it, but she had a big burn on her face and her face just blew up like about 4 times the size. Swamiji went in to visit her. I'm sure he prayed for her, but she was fine. Today, you can't even tell anything happened to her. And this is because they didn't go into that consciousness of, oh, this is going to happen. Oh, I'll be scarred for life. Oh, what's going to happen? They kept their energy uplifted. And so this is a very important point to keep in mind. And before I go on to the next one, I remember a woman in Pune, her name is Seema, very strong-willed woman. And she had a surgery. And after the surgery, Dr. Aditya and I went to visit her. And she was lying in bed. We prayed for her. And she was asleep. And then she woke up and she looked over at us and she says, I was there visiting Pune and I was going to give the satsang that night in Pune. And she says, oh, Dhyanaji, I'm coming to the satsang. I said, oh, is it so? Really? She says, I'm going to be there. Was she there? Of course she was there. She put out the energy and the will. And by God's grace, she was there. And so by not saying, oh, no, the doctor said I have to be here forever. I'll tell you that last week I had an allergic reaction to something. And, you know, I could feel the inflammation. My eyes were inflamed and, you know, my face, everything. And I wasn't going to buy into that. I said, I'm too busy for this. So like Swamiji said, get out. I just said, I don't have time. I have too many talks and programs to do. And the thing that got me better though, right away, was I had some home remedies, but I kept using my will to just break out. I'd look in the mirror and I'd say, that's not my face. I don't want that face. And I just kept affirming, that's not my face. But the thing that got me out of it more than anything was when Dr. Aditya said, Dhyanaji, if you don't get better, I'm going to have to give you some medicine to take. I said, I am well. I just kept repeating, I am well, because I didn't. He said, it'll make you drowsy. I said, I don't want to be drowsy and sleepy. And so you can break out of it if you put out enough energy and be around people who are affirmative as well. Let's go on to the next point. Affirm health, even if you are ill. The mind by constant worries grows old quickly, makes the body look old and unhealthy. A smile which cannot be extinguished by any financial, social, physical trials, helps to keep the body looking young with firm flesh, even if it becomes aged. And this is a very important one, not to, even if you're ill, and to affirm wellness. I remember many times Swamiji had surgeries. He just never was, it happened to the body, but it didn't happen to him. And I remember one time he had a surgery and he came out of that surgery and we were to meet him down in Pune, several of us. And the nurse Miriam was his nurse then, and she said, she's a devotee, she says, don't talk to Swamiji about anything. Don't bring up anything that will trouble him. Please don't bother him because he's going to feel weak. He's not going to feel good. And when we saw Swamiji, I'll never forget, he had on a beautiful blue jacket and his face was just shining. He was shining with light. And in fact, he was in a super conscious state. He was out of the hospital. We met him where he was staying. And I had never been with him like that before. He was completely in another state. Had nothing to do with medication. It had to do with meditation. And Swamiji was just completely, he was just brilliant in light. And I'll never forget. And I thought, well, the surgery, he just didn't buy into that. Even if you're ill, just to keep that affirmation that I am well. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Thinking of others. Now I won't read this, I'll give you a chance to read that, and I'll send these to you on the group. But as you think of others, you find that you get better. If you indulge in illness, oh, I feel bad, oh, I need 5 more days, oh, everybody should help me, you get weaker and weaker and weaker. But if you start, pray for others. It's such a wonderful thought. If you're feeling bad, pray for somebody else, even from the bed. And I know Swamiji from the bed, he wrote the material success lessons through yogic principles. A doctor came, Swamiji had just had, I believe it was another surgery, and the doctor, no, it was something else. And the doctors said to him, can you help me? Because I have a son who's in college, and how can you help me to live more dharmic? And Swamiji got his secretary in the room. He started dictating to the secretary these lessons that are fantastic lessons from the bed. Gyanamata served from the bed. There are things you can do. And Swamiji would go out when he was in the hospital. He was always thinking of others. He'd be in his wheelchair some of the times. I heard the story from Daviji and Jyotishji that Swamiji would, he'd say, now just take me around the hospital, and anybody he saw, especially, I remember the one story, they said there was a very elderly man, he could barely sit up in his chair, and Swamiji rides by him, he says, good morning, how are you? And the man just being picked up. And this is even in illness, you can help other people. Swamiji had so many flowers in his room when he would be in the hospital. And one time I remember he told some of the members, Ananda members, now this is too many flowers and we need to share. Go to every room, and whoever doesn't have flowers, put flowers in those rooms. And isn't that just a wonderful thought, to be thinking of other people? And I think the thing that touched me the most of these kind of stories is Swamiji's cook, Leela. Some of you remember her. She lost her husband some years back. And it was a very, very sad, very sudden and very sad time. Swamiji himself did the astral ascension ceremony, and he just wept the whole time. He said, I'm just so sorry. I'm just so sorry. I'm sorry for Leela. And so, but Leela, she had been serving Swamiji for dozens of years, I think it was. So she goes up to Swamiji, I think it was either the same day, next day, I mean, it was very soon after. And in her own grief, she thought of him. It's such a wonderful story. She says, Swamiji, can I come here today and cook for you? I don't have anything else that I can do, and I can't get my mind off of what happened. Can I cook for you? And she got better and better from serving. And that could have been a long time for her to just feel uplifted or feel fine after that tragedy. So think of others. And then I think this is the last one. Keep mentally and physically strong through the practices and attunement. Now, this is an interesting one. I'll send these to you so you can read them on your own. But here's something I've learned about the path. You have to really continually put out energy in the practices, the energization, the postures. I do postures every day. I energize twice a day. I don't say Master is going to heal me and help me. You have to put out energy. Lots of Kriya, satsang, seva, coming to classes, all these things, reading the books, listening to the talks, all of these things keep your aura strong so disease can't enter. But the final analysis is grace, that it's really God's grace through your openness and receptivity through what you're doing. It's God's grace that can heal you and that can keep you well. And I remember one time, and Devi Ji had a very similar story. She wrote a blog about it, how at a time when she was feeling, and this is not physical all the time, sometimes you have mental ailments. You just can't get out of moods or fears or worries or doubts, or something has happened and just upset you. And I was going through that kind of time, and Devi Ji was as well. She writes in the blog. And I mean, I tried every technique, both of us, just everything we could do. And I went to Swamiji. I said, Swamiji, I'm affirming, I'm energizing, I'm doing postures, I'm teaching, I'm doing seva, I'm going to satsangs, I'm reading, I'm studying, I'm doing everything, but I just can't break out. And what Swamiji told Devi Ji, he said, the techniques are fine and they help you, but it's really God's grace that's going to pull you through. Never forget it. And I said that to Swamiji after I said all those things I was doing. He said, don't worry about it, meaning you're doing everything you can do. Do everything you can do to stay well, to stay mentally well, to stay physically well, to stay spiritually well. Do everything you can do. And then I remember I went home and I went to bed the very next day. I mean, this has never happened to me before. Before that or after, the very next day, when I got up, I felt a change. I just felt so lifted from that karma. I felt the karma was over. And I went to Swamiji and I said, Swamiji, I feel so much better. And he just looked at me so sweetly. He said, that's good. And so in the final analysis, you can't keep yourself well. You can do everything. But God and Guru's power, magnetism, energy, grace, that's the game changer. You open yourself to that grace. So I'd like to close now with an affirmation that we can take into our lives to help us to open up to God and Guru's grace and to try to keep us strong and healthy, mentally, physically, spiritually. So please, let's show the affirmation. These are words of Paramahansa Yogananda Ji. Let's inhale and tense the body, awakening every cell. Exhale, inhale. Charge the body battery with light, prana, energy. Exhale. Inhale, joy, light, peace, prana, magnetism. Exhale, any heaviness, worries, fears, doubts. Once more. Now close your eyes. You can, well, look at the affirmation the first round or two, and then close your eyes, look at the spiritual eye, and say these words strongly out loud, more and more quietly, and then silently. I will with my own will. I will with my own will, which flows from the divine will, which flows from the divine will. to be happy, to be well, to be happy, to be well, to be prosperous and spiritual, to be well, to be well. I will with my own will. I will with my own will, which flows from the divine will, which flows from the divine will, to be happy, to be well, to be prosperous and spiritual, to be well, to be well. I will with my own will. I will with my own will, which flows from the divine will, which flows from the divine will, to be happy, to be well, to be happy, to be well, to be prosperous and spiritual, to be well, to be well. I will with my own will. Whispering now, I will with my own will, which flows from the divine will, which flows from the divine will. To be happy, to be well, to be happy, to be well, to be prosperous and spiritual, to be well, to be well. Now mentally, silently, I will with my own will, which flows from the divine will, to be happy, to be well, to be prosperous and spiritual, to be well, to be well. Let's rub our hands together now. Feel our bodies full of healing energy, light, the power of God and gurus, and let's share this energy with the whole world. Oh. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. God bless you all and have a wonderful day. And let's close with this thought from Master. All diseases are the result of collisions of a brittle, inharmonious life with the stone wall of God's harmony within. Peaceful actions attuned with God's peace are felt in silence within, and the result is happiness. Wrong actions collide with God's peace of silence and produce unhappiness and ill health. God bless you all.
Oh.